Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting light heavyweight Angel DeAnda. Angel, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for doing it. Angel, your last fight was against Anthony Ruiz at Tachi Palace Fights 15. That fight was for the Tachi Palace Fights light heavyweight championship. You ended up winning that fight by third round TKO. How pleased were you with your performance in the fight?
I was very pleased. I came out barely getting hit, and my head movement was on point. My strength and conditioning was up to par what it took, because I know Anthony Ruiz is a strong veteran that, is very durable, can take the beating and, come back and finish the fight. Since it was a 5-round fight, I have to make sure that I was on my A game, and I seen some things in there that I needed to fix, and I believe I fixed them to get ready for this fight with Tyrone Spong.
You looked absolutely amazing in that fight. Like you mentioned, head movement was great, conditioning was great, your boxing was top-notch. How confident were you going into that fight that you were going to be able to be the first guy to knock out Anthony Ruiz? How confident were you in your ability and your knockout power to get the job done?
I wasn't too sure about, because I've watched all his videos, studied him, and I seen that he just came off of a fight in Russia with their number one guy, and I was thinking, maybe I'm not going to knock this guy out. Maybe I'm going to have to, submit him. Maybe if I drop him, I'll just submit him, but I just wasn't really too sure if I was going to get the knockout. Wasn't really looking for the knockout, but I had to train for my conditioning, so I made sure he didn't come back and finish me off after me sticking it to him for a couple of rounds. So I was really focused for that fight on my conditioning and my technique to, make sure that the fight ended up the way that it did. And I knew I could knock him out, because most times, though, too, I knew that I had a knockout power and that, that I could finish the fight, but I wasn't going to go look for that and gas out.
After that fight, Tachi Palace, they went out of business. They're now back in business. But during the time of them going out of business till now, you signed with World Series of Fighting. Had Tachi Palace not gone out of business, would you have not have left there and gone to World Series of Fighting? Or after this Ruiz fight, were you very confident that, hey, I'm ready to take it to the next level?
After the Ruiz fight, I was ready to take it to the next level. But I just got to Tachi, so I believe that was the next level at the time.
Sure.
A lot of great fighters came out of Tachi Palace, and but whenever they went under, I was kind of bummed, because that's where I was trying to get. That was the stage I was trying to get on, being from California, and they went down, so I was bummed. And then the next big thing came up, and that was World Series, so I jumped on that while I could, not knowing what was going to happen with Tachi. If I knew Tachi would have came back, I would have loved to stick around there and defend my belt and keep making a name for myself there, because they got great fighters that go through there.
Are you exclusive to World Series of Fighting, or will there be a possibility of you maybe going back to Tachi and defending that belt?
I'm not sure if my manager would know that question. I'm not too sure about that, but I hope I'd be exclusive if they're letting Tyrone Spong run around and do all kinds of kickboxing matches and all that other stuff. So if I am exclusive, then I'd love to go back to Tachi and defend my belt.
I see. You haven't fought since November. That was the Ruiz fight. That was back in November of last year. How were you able to support yourself? I know you have a family. How were you able to support yourself and your family during this time off of not fighting? Because in this sport, if you don't fight, you don't get paid.
Yeah. My money, I had to, really be on a tight budget, make my money stretch as far as it could. And I also teach classes at the gym that I train at, so that helped out a lot. And my professor helped me out a lot too. If I would have needed to, because towards the end it started running out, and so my professor, being the good man that he is, he noticed that I was hurting, and he lent me some money until this fight goes through, and then I'm going to pay him back.
Now, you got this fight coming up August 10th for World Series of Fighting. It's going to be at World Series of Fighting 4. How's training been going for the fight?
Oh, it's been going great. Most people say this, but I honestly believe this. I've never been stronger, never been more hungry to win a fight. Tyrone Spong is, even though he's 1-0 in MMA, he's a legend in kickboxing, and he's coming to MMA to make a name for himself. And I've been in MMA for 5 years trying to make a name for myself. So if he's going to be a war out there with me and him, and it's going to be whoever wants more of that. But my training's been going great. It's, you know, the lower my weight got down, the more stronger that I got. So I'm very confident right now.
Mm-hmm. Where exactly are you training at in preparation for this fight, and who are some of the guys that are helping you out prepare for Tyrone? Because he's a high-level kickboxer and a high-level striker, so who are you training with to kind of mimic him, and where are you training at in preparation for this one?
I'm training where I was training with my last Stand Fight team. The last Stand Fight team, they're Justin Smidley. He's very good at kickboxing. We got a lot of great kickboxers in our camp, but we just don't have the, you know, media and all that in our gym yet, because not too many fighters are out there from our team. But I got Justin Smidley helping me, Michael McDonald, Mike Thurman, Buddy Wallace, Quincy Sherman, Rudy Buendia, Nate Schindler, Lamar Reed. Just there's so many. Everybody in the gym is helping me. We got a lot of great guys in the gym that are just helping me get ready for this fight.
Mm-hmm. So have you just basically stayed at your home gym? You haven't gone out anywhere else? Your coaches haven't sent you out anywhere else to try to get different looks to prepare for, you know, this high-level striker? It's basically just been all the stuff at home?
Yeah, all the stuff at home, and going to full force personal training for strength conditioning. Those are the only two gyms that I go to. You know, if I'm going to face a high-level striker, I don't really believe that I got to go out and cross-train, and our camp don't believe in cross-training. Mm-hmm. We don't need to, you know, go to places to get our timing down and, you know, our technique on point. We do all that within our own camp, and, you know, we've been doing great so far, and I believe it's going to help me get through this fight.
Mm-hmm. You were supposed to fight Tyrone Spong at World Series of Fighting 3. The fight didn't take place because he had visa issues, and he trains down in Florida, and with him not being able to come to the United States and get the proper training that he needs to fight you, that fight was canceled. Altogether, with having the training that you did to prepare for him to fight at World Series of Fighting 3 and the training that you've done now, altogether, how much time has been spent, how much time has been dedicated to preparing for this fight?
Pretty much the whole year, because I was supposed to fight in March. Mm-hmm. I believe against Spong, but that didn't come out into the media. The World Series was trying to set me up in March with Spong, but it didn't happen, and they couldn't get me on the card. So then in June, it came out into the media that we would fight. And then, so January, I started getting ready for March. So I don't believe I have any kind of ring rust or any of that, because my last fight was in September. I took time off. And then January, I got right back in the gym. But January, I started getting ready for March fight. Didn't happen. And then I was still in the gym. And then June came up. So in April, I started getting ready for June. Mm-hmm. June didn't happen. Now August is here. So since June, since July, June, July, August, I've been getting ready since January for this fight.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. With all these cancellations, like you mentioned, March was supposed to happen and ended up not happening, and then June was supposed to happen and ended up not happening. With all these cancellations, how has it affected your training? When you're preparing for a fight, you're trying to peak at the right time, and when you have all these dates that are in mind and you prepare to try to peak at the time that this fight is going to take place, and then it not happen, how does that affect your training?
Well, honestly, it kind of benefited me, because night before, we were getting ready to pick up the cardio, pick up the intensity. I found out before it hit the media, that Tyrone Spong is going to be able to, this fight's not going to happen. Let me start looking for something else. And that already happened in March. I believe it was going to happen again in June. So in the beginning of January, in the March and the June card, I was focusing on first, because Tyrone's very explosive and very strong, naturally very explosive and strong. I was working on building my strength, building up strength and building up endurance. And right before we would get to the making it intense, I figured the fight, I'd find out the fight got canceled. So I would just stay strong, stay on, and then whenever the fight wasn't on, we wouldn't go through the keep. We would just stick to just keep lifting heavy, just being stronger all the way around. Not just for sparring, but just in general to get stronger. So I'm kind of benefiting because I was getting ready in January, started getting really strong, and we go through this program at Full Force. It's called Easy Strength, where it's simple lifts, but you're trying to lift as heavy as you can to make it as easy as possible. So I've just been on that program all year, and right before this time is the first time I've ever started picking up the intensity. So I'm really strong and I'm really conditioned right now.
This is obviously the longest camp of your career because you've been preparing for him for a long time. Do you like this better? Because you were a guy who was keeping up a pretty active pace in terms of fights before you signed with World Series. Do you like having these long camps where you can not only prepare for... Oh, go ahead.
That was honestly kind of pissing me off, and but I believe it'll all help me in the fight because it's just like, I don't refer to myself as an animal, but in terms, I just felt like I've been in a cage,
Sure.
Getting rattled up to let me out, but they close the door and you're not coming out yet. And then again, rattle me up, you're not coming out. So now my cage got rattled enough to where I'm not going to let it mess with me mentally, but I'm not going to let it mess with like my game plan. It's not going to affect that, but I'm just I've been ready to explode and get in there with this guy for 9 months almost. So I'm just pretty anxious right now.
With preparing for him basically 3 times over the course of a year, I'm sure you've played this fight in your head 1,000 times over. How do you see this fight playing out?
I see him coming out, trying to take control of the cage, and I see me coming out doing the same. Once he sees that he's not going to bully me around, and once he feels my power, then if I get opportunities to do other stuff, like take him down or submit him, I believe he's gonna feel unexperienced in MMA. He is really inexperienced in MMA. He has 1 fight. I have 11 fights. I believe I gained a lot of experience off of my last fight, fighting Anthony Ruiz, being a veteran, with over 40 fights, and for me to finish him the way that I did. But what's to his advantage right now is that what I think of is that I'm a stand-up fighter, he's a stand-up fighter. So it's going to start on the feet. So it'll be even in the beginning, but once the fight carries on and we're not finishing each other, that it didn't end in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and we're not finishing each other, then other parts of this MMA game are going to come in, and then he's going to feel. I mean, he can train 6 to 8 weeks. I've been training for 5 years. So I've been training 5 years for big fights, and so it feels like I've been training for the last 5 years for this fight. It's the first time on the center stage, on a big stage. It's going to be on TV. I've been training for 5 years for this. I'm hungry. He's hungry. It's just going to be who wants some more. That's the only thing that goes through my head when I think about this fight.
Angel, I was very impressed with your last fight against Anthony Ruiz, how you were able to use your height disadvantage as an advantage to you, because you're only 5'9", so you're a lot shorter than the average 205 fighter. Anthony Ruiz is 6'2", same height as Tyrone Spong. And in kickboxing, the clinch isn't used that much because they separate guys when they clinch. How important in this fight will clinching up and dirty boxing and pushing them up against the cage? How much is that going to be a tool utilized by you? Obviously, you don't want to give away your game plan, but
no, I believe that he's going to want to clinch, and if he wants to clinch, then I'm going to go off of reactions of what I see out there. If he gives me a clinch, then it's going to be dirty fighting. I don't want to say that I'm going to go do this and that I'm going to go do that, and put that kind of stuff in my head, so that whenever I do try to go do something and it doesn't work, then in my brain it's like, oh man, there's one thing that didn't work for me. Try the next thing. Oh, that didn't work. I don't like to set up myself like that. I like to just go out there with no game plan and just go off of reactions of what he gives me. If he gives me a clinch game, then I'm pretty well rounded. So it's going to be a dirty fight if that's where he wants it. But once I take control, then I'll know where the fight's going to go. But from right now, I don't know how it's going to go or which way it's going to go or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. With him only having one MMA fight, how do you go about, evaluating what he can do? How has it been difficult, breaking him down? Because the first fight that he had in MMA, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to take away from that fight. He pretty much dominated the guy that he fought was, pretty outclassed and pretty limited in what he can do. Has it been difficult at all to try to gauge what you're going to see on August 10th?
Yeah, whenever I watch that fight, I'm just thinking like, I'm not going to be like that guy. He's going to know he's going to be in a fight after the fight's over with me and Spong. I'm not going to run from him. I'm not going to be scared of him. I'm not afraid of anything that he has to offer. And, he's going to, after the night's over, even if it's real fast, either if it's him or me, because I believe in that fight he didn't even get touched. So he's going to know he's been in the fight after we get done fighting. Mm-hmm. And with this one, I just think sometimes, like, with that one fight, I can't think that, that's how he fights, that's it. No, because he's a great kickboxer, and I've seen all his kickboxing tapes, so he might pull out some other stuff and if he can pull it off, for people to be like, Tyrone Spong was really dangerous, he just pulled this off, pulled that off. So, I'm just ready for anything that he has to offer me that night, and I'm not afraid of him at all.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you saw he fought 3 times in one night. I'm sure you've seen his last kickboxing matches. He was dropped in one of those fights. And earlier you mentioned that in the Anthony Ruiz fight, you weren't sure if you were going to be able to put him away, but you were able to do that. You're a guy who has serious knockout power. That's obvious from the Ruiz fight, because he fought against Alexander Shlemenko, and Shlemenko is a phenomenal striker, and he wasn't able to put him away, and you were. Are you even more confident going into this one because you've had that experience against Ruiz, a guy who was very hard to finish, and then when you go out and see a guy like Tyrone Spong get dropped, does that give you a lot more confidence, saying to yourself, hey, I think I can knock this guy out?
Yeah, well, after fighting Ruiz, that gave me a tremendous amount of confidence in my striking. So what I think from watching his last tournament, that can I drop him? Yeah, I believe I can drop him. I can knock down anybody. I can knock out anybody. I believe I can do that. But the thing that I gained confidence off of watching his last kickboxing match is that when he got dropped in kickboxing, you get 10 seconds to get back up and get yourself back together. In MMA, if I drop him and don't knock him out, I got less than 2 seconds to jump on him and finish him. Mm-hmm. So he's going to know that. He's gonna know what an MMA fight feels like after this fight, because the last guy he fought was didn't really come out there to fight him. I think he was scared of him, and I'm just not gonna be scared of Spong. And if I get a chance to drop him, I'm gonna jump on him. And who knows how the fight will end, with ground and pound, submission. I'm not sure. I'm just there to show up to make my dream come true and keep pressing forward, because this is just the beginning.
Mm-hmm. This fight is going to be the main event for the World Series of Fighting 4 card. Is that a big deal to you to be fighting in the main event, or does it really not matter to you a whole lot where you fight on the card?
The main event's a big deal. I'm pretty happy that they allowed me to be main event over Tyson Griffin. Man, that's a big name. To have me and Spong was the main event, that was pretty sick. I was pretty stoked, but real honestly, I'd rather fight first and get it over with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Does it make things maybe a little bit better that now you're elevated on a card, you're the main event, because you've had to wait so long to get this fight? Does it make it a little bit better now that maybe it's a little bit more of a fight where people are anticipating it a lot more? I mean, obviously they were anticipating it before because Tyrone Spong is a very good kickboxer, but does it make you feel a little bit better now, waiting all this time, that you're going to be fighting in a main event as opposed to where you would have been fighting before had it taken place in March?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy that it's main event, and more people get to see me, see what I've been going through. I believe that I deserve to be where I'm at on this card. The Tyrone Spong is next to me. I'm just pretty pumped that people got to get to know that because there's so many MMA fighters and so many promotions out there. I believe this promotion is going to really help shoot me out there even farther and let people know what I'm about and, you know, what I go through and how I get ready for a fight. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty pumped that it's main event and everybody's going to see it. It's going to be the last fight. Save the best for last, and I believe that that's what it's going to be that night.
Mm-hmm. Where exactly do you live? How far do you live from Ontario, California?
I live about 5 hours away. Mm. I live in the Central Valley up in Modesto, California.
Mm-hmm. Will you be bringing a lot of friends and family to the fight, or will they just be watching it live on NBC Sports Network?
Hopefully both. You know, wherever we go is going to go. I've got a lot of people already telling me they're going to go, got their tickets, and hopefully a lot of people stay back and watch it on TV, help the ratings go up for NBC Sports.
Definitely.
So I'm just really glad to, you know, be out there and help get this limelight and share it upon my gym with all the other guys that have been going through what I've been going through for the last 5 years to really help get us out there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Angel, how do you defeat Tyrone Spong at World Series of Fighting 4?
By not being afraid, knowing what I can do, and just, you know, be there mentally. Physically, I'm ready. Right now is the mental. Well, next week is my peak week, so but I'm ready right now. Next week I'll peak, and so just how to be there mentally ready, and not to me to beat Spong, you can't be afraid. A lot of the kickboxing matches, a lot of guys are afraid, but it seems like that they anticipate his moves, and you know, I know he's dangerous, but you know, after this fight, a lot of people are going to think that I'm pretty dangerous myself. Mm-hmm.
Angel, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I would like to thank God, first of all, because without this, none of this would be possible. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Full Force Personal Training, for helping me get ready, helping me reach my goals to get to 205. I'd like to thank Max Muscle for giving me my meal plan and my supplements to, you know, get my body ready for this fight, get my health in line. I'd like to thank my fight team for being with me, getting me ready, sharpening me up. Without them, none of this I wouldn't be able to get in there and do what I do. I'd like to thank you guys for having me on the show. And for the fans, I would just like to say, if anybody wants to do something with their life, it doesn't have to be fighting, it can be anything. Going back to school, changing their ways, it's never too late. You know, I came from a place where, you know, it was pretty bad. A lot of people could be in that same situation, but, you know, I've turned my rags to riches and I'm just thriving for the best right now.
Mm-hmm. Angel, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck August 10th at World Series of Fighting 4 against Tyrone Spong.
Thank you.